We've all heard and maybe even made some of these excuses like speeding will get me there faster or I'm a good driver, so I can handle it. But the truth is, those are just myths. Speeding doesn't save as much time as you think, and it puts you and everyone else at far greater risk on the road. So today we're busting the myths about speeding and sharing why slowing down really does save lives. And joining us now is DMV Commissioner Gerald Lackey. And let's talk more about this because I may be guilty of some of these excuses myself. So let's talk about some of those biggest myths out there.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me this morning. It's a pleasure to be talking about this. The funny thing about human beings is we have an amazing ability to talk ourselves into doing things that we know are not good decisions.
Right.
Speeding is a classic example of that. So the ones that I typically hear when people kind of, as commissioner, they come up to me and admit that, oh, I might be a speeder. They say, but you know, one of the common ones is 5 miles an hour. That's not really speeding, is it? Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to get pulled over for 10 miles an hour, am I? And 15 is kind of like 10, because if I take my foot off the gas, it's just going to be 10, which we've already said is like 5. So that's not really speeding, right?
Right.
That's one of the most common ones I hear out there. And it's important to note that speed is set for a reason. It's set to keep us safe, given the road conditions, the congestion, and who else is sharing that road. And so if it's 35 miles per hour, it's 35 miles per hour for a reason, not 40, not 45, and absolutely not 50.
And then, of course, there's consequences to your actions. You get in a car accident, you could harm yourself, somebody else. There are other consequences as well. Money you pay on your ticket. Tell me more about just some of those consequences.
Obviously, the first and foremost is a risk that you're putting yourself and others at. No one wants to be responsible for hitting somebody and destroying their life or taking their life. No one wants to do that. Not the driver of the vehicle and not the person that gets hit. But beyond that, yes, it's a very expensive proposition. You've got court costs. You've got the ticket cost. If you don't want to get a license suspended, you're probably paying a lawyer fees. Your insurance is going to go significantly up. A lot of us have already seen our insurance go up over the last year and a half here in Virginia. If we continue to speed, it's only going to increase. And for the individual convicted of it, it goes up substantially. So absolutely, there's a direct cost and financial impact to your wallet.
So what can we do then to plan ahead so we don't speed that potentially gets us in this car accident or gets us that ticket? What do we need to be thinking about every day when we go out?
I think you said it well, plan ahead. The first thing to do is just leave yourself enough time. I run late. It is a habitual problem for myself, so I make sure that I set myself appointments that I know I'm going to be there 10 or 15 minutes early. That way, if I'm running late, I'm not actually running really late. Second is call ahead. If you know you're going to be late, ask for forgiveness or ask for permission or just tell them I'm going to be late, because being 5 or 10 minutes late to something is likely less consequential than hitting somebody as a result of speeding.
Right.
And then lastly, a lot of us, and I'm one of those, are following the magenta line these days. It could be Waze, it could be Google Maps,
right.
whatever it is, and it gives us an arrival time. Stop trying to beat the arrival time. It's just not, it's not a game.
Right.
And it's not that important. You're going to get there 2 or 3 minutes faster, but what is the consequence and what's the risk that you're taking to do that?
And let's talk about who's most at risk of speeding. What demographic tends to have their pedal to the metal?
That's a pretty simple one. It's men. Men between the ages of like 16 and 35. 2/3 of all speed-related crashes last year in Virginia were male drivers.
Wow.
Yeah, and so it's for my fellow men out there, please slow down. The notion or message that speeding is not good has been out there for decades. It's not novel. For this current campaign that we have running called You Speed, You Lose,
right.
We went out there and targeted men between the ages of 16 and 35. We found out they really liked gaming.
Smart.
Yep, we found out they were very concerned about the consequences that you and I were just talking about the consequences to their wallet, their consequences to missing work because they have to be in court, their consequences to not being able to get to work because they don't have a driver's license, their consequences to their personal life if they can't get their girlfriends out to dinner because they don't have a driver's license. Those consequences are highlighted in this campaign, and they came directly out of the research that we're doing with that group. We're not trying to manipulate people, but we're trying to talk to them in terms of the consequences that they have expressed are important to them so that we can demonstrate that their behaviors will have negative consequences that they care about.
And speaking of consequences, I understand there's a 54-foot ladder.
Yeah.
Tell me about the significance of this message.
It's actually a tower.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a 5-story tower. We had it out for its debut in Richmond outside the Squirrels baseball stadium. It's got a big sign on top of it that says, "Would you push somebody off this tower?" It's ludicrous, right? Why would you
Gotcha.
push somebody off a 5-story tower? It's the equivalent of hitting somebody at 40 miles per hour.
Wow.
And in congested cities, what we find is when you get into that justification of 5 miles over isn't really speeding, 10 miles over isn't really speeding, speed limits are 25 to 35 in cities. You're going 40 or 45 miles an hour, it's the same as pushing somebody off a 5-story building. And I think we can all...
crazy.
It's crazy. And we can all imagine the consequences of a human body falling 5 stories and hitting the ground. It's not likely to be survivable. And if it is, there's going to be serious consequences that are going to change that person's life. So we want to get that message out there in a very visible way, because it's hard to imagine, unless you've actually hit somebody already, what the consequences would be. So that's what that tower is. It's coming to the state fair. We're excited about that. We're hopeful. Still waiting for the permit, but we're hopeful to get it out to the state fair so even more Virginians can see it.
And to learn more, you can check out the Virginia DMV social media pages or go online to dmv.virginia.gov/safety.